The moment we stopped noticing. Money was supposed to be simple. A neutral tool, a medium of exchange. A way to trade value fairly across time and space. But look around today. People work harder than ever, yet feel poorer. Governments spend more than ever, yet claim there's no money. And entire populations change behavior, not because of laws, but because of financial pressure. Here's the mystery. When did money stop being a tool we used and start becoming a force that uses us? Strong. This isn't the story of greed or corruption alone. It's the story of a quiet transformation, when currency stopped serving exchange and became a system of control. HR. Establishment, money as trust, not power. For most of human history, money had one primary purpose: exchange. Early currencies were tangible: grain, shells, metals. They represented real labor, real scarcity, real effort. Even gold and silver weren't powerful because governments declared them so. They were trusted because they were difficult to fake and hard to obtain. Money didn't control behavior, it reflected it. If you worked, you earned. If you saved, value endured. If a ruler debased currency, people noticed immediately. That transparency mattered, because when money is honest, power has limits. The rise, when states discovered currency as a weapon. The shift began when rulers realized something dangerous. If you control money, you don't need to control people directly. The Roman Empire learned this early. By gradually reducing silver content in coins, Rome funded wars without raising taxes. Citizens felt poorer, but couldn't explain why. That lesson echoed through history. Kings clipped coins, empires inflated currencies, and every time, the same pattern emerged. Currency manipulation allowed control without consent. But the real turning point came with paper money. Unlike gold, paper could be created cheaply, and once backed by authority instead of substance, money became political. Value was no longer discovered, it was declared. The system forms, central banking and managed money. Central banks were sold as stabilizers. They promised smoother business cycles, controlled inflation, protection from panics. But behind the promise was a deeper change. Money was no longer something people exchanged freely. It became something managed from above. Interest rates guided behavior. Credit availability rewarded compliance. Scarcity was engineered. Currency became a steering wheel. Raise rates and economies slow. Lower them, and bubbles inflate. The public was told this was science. But it was also power. Because whoever controls the currency controls and impacts a massive, corruptive financial economies. Exchange quietly gave way to influence. A great time, and the calendar was revealed, and I had no idea. For a long time, there was still a restraint. Gold. Currencies were claims on something real. But in the 20th century, that restraint vanished. Wars demanded unlimited funding. Governments wanted flexibility. Central banks wanted full control. So the anchor was cut. When money became fully fiat, backed only by confidence and law, a new reality emerged. Currency no longer represented value. It commanded behavior. Inflation punished saving. Debt became necessary for survival. Wages lagged while asset owners surged ahead. Money stopped measuring the economy. It started shaping it. Fallout. How control replaced exchange. Once currency became programmable through policy, everything changed. Governments no longer needed overt force. They could nudge, restrict, or incentivize behavior financially. Miss a payment, access disappears. Fall behind, penalties compound. Resist, inflation erodes you quietly. Entire populations adjust habits not through choice, but necessity. Work more, borrow longer, accept instability as normal. Currency became a compliance mechanism, not because of malice, but because of design. Failed fixes, why reform never restores exchange. Every generation tries to fix money. New regulations, transparency promises, digital innovations. But reforms rarely address the core issue. Money is no longer neutral. As long as currency is issued through debt, managed through centralized authority, and detached from real productivity, it will prioritize control over exchange. Even alternatives often replicate the same power structures. The form changes, the function doesn't. Modern parallels, the pattern intensifies. Today, most money exists only digitally. Numbers on screens, balances that can be frozen, taxed, inflated, or restricted. Global debt dwarfs global production. Central banks intervene constantly. Emergency measures never end. Crises no longer shock the system. They justify expanding it. And with new technologies, currency is becoming more precise, more trackable, more conditional. The question is no longer if currency controls behavior. It's strong how directly, cred, versus how directly, many matters within the universe. Therefore, the actual product of money is becoming inflated and restricted. It doesn't balance itself out. Monetary industry influences in complex ways. The real danger isn't that money controls us. It's that we stop noticing when it happened. Understanding currency isn't about finance. It's about freedom. If you want to keep exploring how hidden systems shape everyday life, subscribe to the channel. Because once you see money for what it truly is, you'll never see the economy the same way again.